This is Martin Scherer here at Tesserak Restoration Studios, and we're about to start a new project today. This is the cap for this piece. This is a 19th century Meisen porcelain. Very nice piece. This is one of a pair, and these shards that you see on the table in front of me are for a domed cap that goes on the top of this. So it's not very big, and I'm not exactly sure what it looks like because, as you can see, it's pretty well broken. So there are about 50 pieces here. This is good European Meisen porcelain, and it's worth saving. So we're going to reassemble this. Now, as I said, this is one of a pair, and if this weren't bad enough, we have its mate, which is equally devastated. So our job is to put these back together. This one includes a bag of shards. So there are even more pieces to this cap than there are for the one on the table in front of me. But we're going to show how we repair this job, and because it's slightly different than the repairs you've seen in the past. And so we're going to demonstrate to you how we do that. We're not going to show you every single step of every single portion of the project because a lot of it is tedious and boring and no fun to watch. But you will get enough of it to see, to get an idea just what's involved with bringing something like this back. So when we're all done with this, this should be difficult to tell it was ever broken in the first place. So that's our job to do. We have two of these. We're probably just going to show you one of them. It's the same process for both. And whichever one ends up being more pieces is probably the one I'll document because it would probably be more interesting. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so today we're going to start assembling this cap, this porcelain cap from the Meisen, and I've already begun putting it together. So here we have two pieces with tape on them, another two pieces held together with tape, another two pieces held together with tape. This is three pieces held together with tape, both sides. So the way we normally do this is, for non-porcelain or glass objects, is we put the bonding agent on it, on a couple of pieces, and we tape them together and set them aside. And we do that until we have groups of sections like this where there's two or three pieces glued together. And once those are, once the bonding agent sets, we add pieces to it, two or three pieces at a time, put some tape on it, put some glue on it, put the tape on it, set it aside until we've assembled our object. In the case of porcelain and glass, we assemble it without a bonding agent, as I've done here. And then I have a special epoxy that we use for glass and porcelain. So what we do with porcelain and glass is I set these objects in my hot box, and it's set to about 140 or 145 degrees. We heat up the objects. Generally I tape them together first, and I put them in there. Essentially we put the tape, it's taped together dry, no glue, hot, and then I bring it out and I put a drop on each or two on each crack, and then with the heat it will thin this bonding agent even more, and it will wick into a crack. The reason for that is because glue takes up space in a crack. If I use a different kind of bonding agent, and I have, like in this case, scores of pieces that need to be glued together, all of those tiny little bits of bonding agent in each one of these cracks adds up to accumulated space being taken up, and pretty soon pieces don't fit together perfectly anymore. But if you assemble it without glue, the pieces fit perfectly together. It's taped, it's tight. We heat it up, and then the glue will wick into the crack without taking up any more space than there already is in the crack. And then that object with the tape on it and the glue applied goes back into the hot box, which helps accelerate the setting of the bonding agent. And then we repeat the process over and over and over again. So these pieces I did yesterday, they've been dry assembled, heated, glue applied, and put back in the hot box, and I took them out today. We're going to add some more pieces to these, or we will glue some of these sections together like this one. So what I do is I've taken some masking tape, and I will cut some strips. So I cut it into strips. And then I can just reach over and grab what I want. Okay, so we're going to just move right along and just tape a couple, like we'll add 1 or 2 sections to each section, and build our piece incrementally. The smaller these pieces are, the harder this is to do. It's crucial that we get the alignment as perfect as possible at this stage. It saves a lot of work later. So again, there is no bonding agent involved at this stage. Simply tape together and assemble dry. It's the next day, and we're still assembling this cap for this Meisen porcelain. And the pieces I did last time are in this sand box I have here, and they're taped together, but this is a good way to set them so they're more or less balanced. And if they lay in a hot box like this, then it can unwrap if the tape lets go. If I stack it in a way where it's more balanced, it tends to move less. So I have a sand bucket for that. Get all my sand off of there. All right, so I'm gonna, the process is it's pretty simple. It's just very tedious and very exacting. And we assemble it sometimes a piece or two at a time, and that's as much as you can do in a day, and that's it. So I'm going to end up bonding a piece to the base and another piece to probably this piece. And there's so much breakage that that's just the way I have to do it. And I need to find out where this piece goes on here. There we go. Lucky me. Right there. So I need 3 spots. The tape can come off. There's still some glue under the there's still some adhesive under the tape, which I'll have to take off with the razor blade essentially right now. We've built this up and I want to take the tape off. Once we get the tape all off of here, I can finish the top area. Once that's finished, it will take all these seams, or like where I'm taking this tape off now, there's a bunch of adhesive. I will scrape that off, and there's going to be a small crack right here under this adhesive, and I'll fill that with an epoxy fill, which will do as many rounds of filling and filing that down, kind of like body work on a car. And we'll do that in as many sessions as it takes to make that crack a smooth area again, so that when we paint over it, you can't ever tell there was a crack there. So right in here there's a crack, and I'll fill that. There's going to be a lot of them. Here's another crack. You can see this will get filled because I can the razor blade will stop there. See, there's a tiny bit of a step. So that'll get filled. And once that's filled and smoothed out, so there's no tick there. Once we get that stage done, then we can begin the painting stage. We'll paint in the background white, and then I paint the green over that, then the yellow over that, and then the gold last. So, I just wanted to give you a look at our status so far on this project. It took a while to build this up. It's very tedious. There's a lot of really tiny pieces in this thing. And and there are two of them from a matched set. This is the cap of an urn, and both of them were broken very badly. So I just wanted to show you each stage of the process as we go. I'm not going to sit here and make you watch me peeling all this scores of pieces of tape. Okay, so we finally got these two items completely assembled, and as you can see, wherever you see this white fill is where there was a chip or a missing piece or some other imperfection that had to be filled to smooth out the surface. And both of them, they're really, really smashed. But we got them all back together. To give you an idea how bad this is, if you can see inside there. Can you see inside there? Anyway, there's a lot of breakage in there that we're not going to address, because it's impossible to get tools in there and work it. Even if I filled it, I wouldn't be able to smooth it out. And you can't see it from the outside anyway. So both of these are really, really badly smashed. So now we're at the point where it's assembled, it's all smoothed out, the body work, so to speak, is all done on these. All the missing areas are filled in. And we're going to start the decorating phase where we start bringing in the colors. Okay, so if we finally got this all assembled and I'm ready to paint today. So I've mixed up my color, which it looks like it doesn't match, but it will when it dark. See, you can see this is lighter than this drip down here, because when it dries, it's going to be a little bit darker. So that's part of the challenge of what I'm doing, is matching a color that's going to change when it dries. So right here. Okay, so we're just going to start bringing in this color now, and go over all these little white spots with an airbrush. Don't want to have to repaint any more than I have to, but I've got to get good coverage. I'm effectively going to be repainting this entire thing, but one, and now we'll paint the other one. Okay, so today we're going to start painting the the yellow in here. We'll be bringing back these flowers. I made stencils for the different sized flowers that are going to be on here. And I'm going to start shooting those right now. I have one right next to it that I need to shoot, but I have to wait till this one dries, otherwise my stencil will smear it. So I'll move over to another location. And spray another one. Those two dry. I'll work on another one. And I'll have to keep switching back and forth so I can use my stencil without smearing any of the other ones. Where are they? We'll just keep going along until I fill them all in. And then after that we'll do the gold. Alright, so in the last session with a stencil, we airbrushed all the yellow flowers in here. And the next stage after that, we'll do a couple more cold glazes on it, get a nice finish on top of that. Lock down that paint, and then we'll do the gold. But first I need to bring in the bottoms, and these need to be touched up on that white. So that's what we're going to do today. We'll just quickly airbrush this. Alright, I got my paint mixed up already. We're ready to go. Now it's starting to look like something. Finally. Alright. I mean, It's amazing that we even got to this point, really. Okay, so we'll get some cold glaze on top of these, and then the next session we start painting gold. Alright, so today we're finally getting to the gold. I'm going to do all this gold trim on both of these. A lot of tedious hand painting. And I'm going to start at the bottom with the big ones. And hopefully by the time I get to the top, I've had plenty of practice so I can do a good job on the small ones. Well, we got a long way to go to complete this, but you get the idea of what I have to do here. I'll work my way up from these big ones down to the little tiny ones up here. Work our way around to it. Okay. Well, today we are finally ready to talk about the end of this project. And here we have our two domes fully assembled, fully painted. We did the gold on these yesterday, and we were painting these rows of flowers. So there they are. They're all put together. They're reasonably repaired as far as looks. This is not the top of the line repair. This is more of a rescue attempt. We're basically just getting it back together in a presentable fashion. If you look really closely, you can see there are some minor flaws to show. So it's not perfect, but that's not what the client ordered. It would have gotten into some insanely high prices if we did that. But they're back together, and they're gonna look good finished, because this dome is actually just the finial for this Meisen urn, one of a pair. So this is repaired also. So this is the repaired piece in context with where it originally belongs. So now we know how it looks, and it's a pretty decent job. This represents about, I'm guessing, between 40 and 50 hours worth of work over several months, because I do have other jobs to work on that need to get done too. It's very tedious, exacting work on these as far as number of pieces that had to go back together again. And sometimes you can only put so many pieces together in a day. So a couple of months of work, 40 or 50 hours. We don't talk about prices, and we don't mention our customers' names. So I think she's going to be pretty pleased with this. I know this client well, and she will be glad to have these back together in one piece again. So there it is. That's the job.